And she's had 4 mums, in her life, and she's been moved around, and she doesn't know why she's been moved around. So she's had a very tough time. So she says to me all the time, there's always a lot of negativity. And what I'm doing with her a lot is to say, yeah, but it's a good thing as well. Yeah, but this, and she started off at school doing plays and singing and stuff, and she'd be the one at the back going like this, and it's horrible for any of you who like kids. It's horrible for those of you who don't like kids. It's a great thing, but it's horrible. And I really see my son. It's the most horrible. I can show you a video of it. It's horrible. Of him going. It was horrible to watch the nerves seeping out all over these kids. It's horrible. And I'm going to suggest that just add 10, 20, 30 years onto them. And some of you probably manifest similar kinds of feelings that they have because you haven't dealt with it, basically. Because everyone says, I'm nervous. Oh, I'm nervous, hell yeah, I'm nervous as well. Yeah, you're nervous. Rather than say, actually, I'm a bit nervous, but actually I'm excited as well. And just turning something in your head, just changing the perspective. The way you look at it, the words that you use, reframing it, I think is the way it's done. Reframing nerves as excitement. And just try it and think, this is marginal gains. I'm not expecting to all of a sudden become Anthony Robbins and walk out in front of 20,000 people and say, hey everybody. I'm not expecting that. I'm just expecting to turn the nerves down a notch and the excitement up a notch. That's all. So another thing about nerves, as I say, I've coached a lot of actors, and I still do some acting, and I still go to some auditions. I don't call myself an actor because I don't do all the work that you need to do to be an actor. But every time I go for an audition, before I go in, and an audition is basically having a business meeting or a presentation constantly, and you've got 5 minutes or less a lot of the time to impress people that you are the right person for whatever it is that they're buying. And you've got almost no time to do it, and you've got to do it immediately, maintain your integrity, go out and forget about it. So what I say to myself now, before I go into any of those meetings, and I kind of say it to myself on the way here today, is I'm just going to enjoy this. I'm just going to have fun. And my idea of fun isn't, an 8-year-old boy's idea of fun. My idea of fun is being myself. And having fun and being able to stand up in front of you, because clearly this needs a show-off, obviously. I don't expect everyone to be show-offs. There'd be no space for me if you were all show-offs. But, to be myself, to enjoy this time is essential. Because if I don't enjoy this, then you're not going to enjoy it. If I'm standing here, the lectern's over there, the lectern was here, I could easily have stood behind the lectern. Easily. I stood behind the lectern with a load of notes, and I could easily say, right, well, the thing about personal impact is that it's this, this, and this, and this. And I guarantee half of you will be thinking about running out the doors. At least, you would all be bored, and you would all be thinking of something else. And I can see around the room that I've got pretty much 90% of you are still listening and engaged. Some of you are not. I think you were just scratching your foot, weren't you? Yeah, that's okay. So it's incumbent on me to be interested and it's not incumbent on me to be interesting, because I can't make you interested in what I'm saying by what I'm saying. I can make you interested in what I'm saying by saying it in an interesting way. I could probably speak a little bit of Swahili here, which I can't. I can say goodbye boat. Sound like I do gumbi. But that's it. I could speak in a foreign language for a little bit, and if it was riveting enough, and I'm sure some of you have seen plays in foreign languages or something in a foreign language, and you've been kind of drawn into it. It's like listening to Boris Johnson. That's kind of like a foreign language. You're kind of drawn into what is it? But anyway, I shouldn't really bring that up, should I? Yeah. See, I distracted myself. But I'm all right with that because of everything I've said already. So about nerves, And what I'm doing now is, I realise I've gone off track, so I've got a point in my head that's going to bring me back to it. So when you're doing presentations or business meetings and you're, in your version of free-flowing, because, especially if there's any accountants in the room, your version of free-flowing is probably not, it's probably not got a lot more than that. But, the more creative of you, the salespeople particularly, who are imaginative salespeople, you should be able to, within a structure of the business meeting and of what your purpose of being there, you should be able to confidently move with how the flow of the meeting's going, and to be able in that moment to judge where you're at and to trust yourself, which is really where, in a way, we've got to go with this, is the word trust. So if you're doing, I know that I have done enough preparation for this meeting, for this conversation here. I know I've done enough that I can keep going for just about as long as I've got until it's over. I know I've got enough prepared. So I'm not thinking I should have got more on Andy. It's about trusting that I've done as much work as I could have done in the time I've had available. And a lot of the time people will get nervous because they feel they haven't done enough work for that particular meeting or that particular presentation. Well, what I'm going to recommend to the people who think that is that you have to, before you go in and say, okay, I've done enough work as I have had time to do, and that's it. You're not going to be able to bend time and get another 2 weeks to prepare for this meeting or this presentation. You're not going to be able to do that. Not even if you're in your Harry Potter 4 teams that I now believe that you've been put into. Even Harry Potter can't bend time. So you've got to accept it. It's a simple thing, simple to say, and it's simple to try it once, then another time, then another time. It's not simple to change overnight, but it's simple to say, okay, I have done as much work as I have had time to do. I am going to enjoy this, and again, this sounds so simple and easy, but I understand in the real world when it's more important than just some bloke standing there at lunch with some free sandwiches talking about stuff. It's going to take some work. It's going to take the willingness to move one step. It's going to take the willingness to do that, to change. And some of you might be great at all of this stuff, and in a way there's still 1% that you can affect as well. So, bless you. So nerves. Is there any questions on that? On how to deal with nerves? Does anybody feel slightly better now than they did 45 minutes ago? Can show of hands just to make me feel better. All right. So there's more than half of the room, which was quite interesting really. Some bloke standing here talking to you for 45 minutes over your lunch break, and you feel slightly better. And you probably, if I pressed it a bit more, I would be able to get through you one thing, because it's my favourite question in all my sessions. At the end I say, what's one thing that you're taking away from this? And I'm going to recommend that you all do that when you leave, or before you leave, or even now, to be thinking of one thing that you're taking away from it, because that is a marginal gain. And that is something tangible, and it's something you can write down. It's something that you say, yeah, I got that. Now what's one thing I'm taking from this? And if you incrementally become confident, surprisingly, you have more personal impact because you feel bigger and stronger. So I want to ask that actually. What's one thing that one of you is taking away so far? Anybody?
I liked the nerves to excitement thing.
The nerves to excitement. Yeah. How many people here did that resonate with? Changing nerves to excitement. And out of the people who put their hands up, who is not going to do that next time they're feeling nervous? So really just committed to, but that's how simple all this stuff is. I've got a real belief, I guess, in life, things are way simpler than they're supposed to be. And if we were talking about acting, you know, I think the first paragraph in my book, the introduction, is that you know, I genuinely feel that acting is much easier than we're led to believe. Because people have got courses. You can go on a course. You lot can all go on a course on personal impact, a 5-day course starting tomorrow. You can all do that. But I'm not so sure you will get a lot more than you have got today from 45 minutes sitting there listening to someone. What you would probably do in that 5-day course is you would do stuff yourself. You'd experience things a bit more. You'd practice stuff. You do stuff together in groups, and you know, I'd give you some more theory, and you know, like some, you know, this what Freud said or von Schmeerschmort said back in 1978. I just made that up, by the way. You know, you could get all of that theory. Von Schmeerschmort, I like that. But it's way simpler. So the reason I'm saying this is I would like you to just ease up on yourselves a bit. That when you go into whatever it is you're going to go into, when you go back to work, back to your desk this afternoon, just think this is easier than I thought it was before lunch. It's a psychological thing. If you know, Henry Ford, not von Schmeerschmort, Henry Ford said, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. If you think you can do something, you can do it. If you think you can't do something, you can't do it. So again, I would encourage you all to take that mantra, to say, I can do it. Because then what happens is they start to go saying, yeah, well, you're just saying that, you're just saying that. You know, just saying you don't really mean that. But then that's when you go, shut up. I just want to, if I think I can do this, I can do this. I can do a meeting, I can stand there I can stand there in front of people and get my message across, because my message is simple. My message is I want this, this and this. I mean, if you were in the scientific academic world, then in a way we're talking about something different, because it's, you know, you've got these dense slides full of figures and you've got to have all of that stuff. My wife's a professor at UCL and I've seen some of her presentations and oh my God, I mean, and there's not a lot she can do about that. But I would say that probably, you know, a third of the people in this room can simplify stuff and make it easier, because you've got usually 1 or 2 or 3 messages that you're trying to get across. So don't complicate it, keep it simple. And we're out of time, so I want you to have an opportunity, first of all, to ask questions, but I think there was going to be a book signing if anyone wanted to buy them. I think we've only got five here in any case, so you know, don't all rush at once, you know, there's obviously not. But if anyone wants to buy it, I'll sign it. But I want to ensure that there's an opportunity for questions. So, who's got a question?
Daniel, could you tell us a little bit more about how practically you might start to think about what your values would be?
Okay, so what I would do is, I would ask you all to think of. I could get you all started actually, and say, okay, so I'll say what is something that's really essential to you? What do you think? Does anyone not have a value that they think they could work on? So everybody's got a value in their head that they can work on. So I would say to you all that you should, if we have more time than now, I would say get a piece of paper and a pen out, write down what that word means to you. So if it's creativity, I actually did this exercise this morning with a client this morning, and hers, it came up that her thing is challenge. She needs a challenge. So I said to her, what does challenge mean to you as a word? And she said, I hate it when you ask these questions. And I said, so what does the word challenge mean to you? Well, it means, and I could get the notes out, and it's actually, I'm going to do that, why not? You don't know who it is, so it doesn't really matter. But just to prove that I'm not just talking out of my whatever, that challenge. And she said, it's a big cake. It's a hard, achievable thing that is not immediately easy to achieve. Rather than being rather than being an echo chamber of what people think you are already, something different, taking risks. Challenge, in this TV series she was in, was to be the boring one. So I said to her, how important is challenge in your life? And she said 9 out of 10. And I said, so currently, where are you with challenge? And she said, on one side of my life, it's 0. I've got no challenge. And on the other side of my life, this week, it's very high. So, because she says, I'm making these challenges in my own world, but getting a 0 in the acting world this week. And then she said, that's what I mean by working hard, is that challenge. So we had that discussion. So I would suggest that you think about, and again, I don't mind if you photocopy. There's a table at the back of the book on your top 10 values. You shouldn't say photocopy, should I? That's against all. There's going to be some lawyers in the room who are going to.
You all have access to Drama Online.
Yes, it's on Drama Online. There's a table
exactly.
of your top 10 values, and there's an example in there of some. I've written some people, somebody's. I made some up of top 10 values. And what it is it's working out what that word means to you. And it's to you, not what it means to somebody else. What it means to you. And then you say, well, how important is it as a value? Scale of 1 to 10. It's 8 out of 10 important to me. Okay, well, currently in my life, how much challenge or variety or whatever it is, humor or creativity or integrity or honesty or hard work or justice. What a great one for me is social justice. I've got, every time I ever see anything on TV that's got somebody who's going to do some injustice to somebody else socially, it gets me immediately. So that's a value, a very powerful value of mine, is making sure that everybody has a fair crack at the whip. So how can I make that value 1 point? Currently I'm 6 out of 10. How can I make it a 7? Not how can I make it a 10? How can I make it a 7? And what happens is you start moving, and if you look at the 10 of them, you're one at a time, you start moving and moving and moving. And before you know it, things are great. And I take notes for all my clients, and one of the main reasons is that we look back on them. I'll read out the first week that we were together. They'll say, and then I'll say, right, and they'll go, oh my God, we've come a long way. And that could be in 3 months, it could be 6 months, it could be whatever. But and then we'll look back and say, well, then I'll speed read their notes out to them, and they'll you can see them, because they start to own all of these little things. So to answer your question, does that answer your question?
Yes, yeah.
The important part is then to recognize how well you're doing, especially for those of you who are British in this room. I think that we were never taught, really, to pat ourselves on the back. I think that we've had this thing built in us where, oh, don't blow your own trumpet, don't be American. Sorry, American people, but it's true. It's true, Americans on the front foot going, hey, look at me, I'm here, what do you want? Whereas the British were like, scanning, sorry, I'm here. All Hugh Grant, sorry. Yeah, which has got a place sometimes, especially if Hugh Grant has made a career on it. But it's about recognizing who you are first and how well you're doing, and incrementally that. And the last thing I'll say in a way is about that status thing. I'll give you an example of something that you can all do next time you go into a presentation or a meeting. Stand up by yourself somewhere, and there's a scale of 0 to 10, 1 to 10, and I'll do a very quick thing. And I'll come into the space and I'll introduce myself. And I'll start with a 1 out of 10. Hello, my name's Daniel Dresner. I'll go to 2 out of 10. Hello, my name's Daniel Dresner. 3 out of 10. Hello, my name's Daniel Dresner. 4 out of 10. Hello, my name's Daniel Dresner. 5 out of 10. Hello, my name's Daniel Dresner. 6 out of 10. Hello, my name's Daniel Dresner. 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 here. Hello, my name's Daniel Dresner. Then there's an 8 out of 10, which is hello, my name's Daniel Dresner. And then there's a 9 out of 10, which is my name's Daniel Dresner. And then there's a 10 out of 10, which is get the point. I mean, I'm not going to do all of you. And it's like, hello, my name is Daniel Dresner. So you can choose where on that spectrum want to be going into a meeting. And I would suggest that probably 90% of the people in this room think that they would like to be an 8 or maybe a 9, maybe a 7. But definitely round about the 8. And I would say that's a good idea. So before you walk into your next meetings, think I'm an 8. And be an 8. Don't be a 2 or a 1. Don't do that, because you ain't gonna. Nobody wants that. Really, we need you. We need you to be you. Ooh, this sounds like a good place to end. We need you to be you. I should write this down. Record it.
Yeah.
We need you to be you. Otherwise, what's the point of us being in that room with you? Really? We need you to be you. So be you. Work out who you are and bloody well do it. Is that a good place to end?
Yes.
Yes, let's
Yes.
end on that. Thank you very much.